Hello and welcome to Go Ballistic from the Scottish Sun. It's the morning after the night before. Unfortunately, Scotland are out of Euro 2024. Last night's 1-0 defeat to Hungary in Stuttgart spelled the end for Scotland's Euros campaign. Steve Clarke and his players will be travelling back from Germany today. I'm David Friel. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague Kenny MacDonald. Kenny, simple question, where did it all go wrong?
Well, what did John F. Kennedy say? Success is 100 fathers, failure is an orphan. And that must be how Steve Clarke is feeling this morning. He spoke after the Euro 2020, played in 21 obviously, about regrets that he had. I can't believe he won't be having similar regrets this morning because it was an opportunity missed for Scotland. It wasn't the toughest section in the world if you leave the hosts out of it. But we didn't turn up, particularly against Switzerland, and we certainly didn't turn up last night.
If we take the game in isolation, what did you make of last night?
Terrible performance. Poorest performance of the three, and that includes Germany. Playing against a team who clearly for the first half hour had decided that we're going to play on the break, and we just never got close to them at all. We never got in behind them. Our creative players didn't create. There was no incisiveness up front. I was really, really disappointed, particularly with the first half hour, because Hungary looked like a team waiting to lose goals, and we didn't test them at all.
The big incident that Steve Clarke wanted to talk about after the game was the penalty incident. For you, was it a penalty, Stuart Armstrong getting brought down?
Yeah, it was a penalty because there was definite contact from Willie Orban. What puzzled me was why Stuart Armstrong didn't just continue running and try and get a shot away. It was almost as if he played for a penalty, where he had a great opportunity to get a shot and goal. So I thought it was a penalty. I thought the referee was poor. I thought he should have gone to VAR, but it looks to me as though there has been some kind of UEFA edict that you only go to VARs. And the VAR was Spanish, remember, not Argentinian. You only go to VAR in moments of clear issues, and the referee had made a quick decision that it wasn't a penalty.
You've known Steve Clarke for a long time, Kenny. Where does this leave him? You see the reaction, a lot of fans are unhappy with the tactics, the approach, the caution. Where does it leave him in terms of being the Scotland manager?
It's understandable that there's a lot of dissatisfaction, and I totally sympathise with the Tartan Army because they have been, as usual, terrific in the course of this tournament. But when Steve Clarke was hired, we knew what we were getting. We knew what we were getting into. We saw it at Kilmarnock for long enough. The way he likes to play. And people are saying, replace Steve Clarke. Okay, you replace Steve Clarke. Now, he's got a contract till after the World Cup in 2026, so I don't believe he will be replaced. But A, who do you go and get? And B, where do you find the strikers who are going to score all these goals? And, you know, there's an old-fashioned expression which I will not use, but you can only play with what you have available to you. And if Shea Adams and Lyndon Dykes are as good as we've got at the moment, you can argue maybe Tommy Conway, who didn't kick a ball, might have given us a little bit of an X factor. Maybe James Forrest, who's in such great form with Celtic towards the end of the season, maybe he should have played some part. But the fundamental thing is that we're dealing with a really shallow pool of players at the moment. They did well to get to the Euros. They failed miserably while they were there. But a new manager coming in is not going to change that. The World Cup draw, we'll get the Nations League in September, beginning in September. World Cup draw is in December. Unless we find a guy who's going to score 20, 30 goals a season for their club and put him straight in the team, we're going to have this recurring problem.
But as if you say the squad probably does need a refresh, you know, maybe guys who are away at Euros just now will wind down, maybe call it a day. Do you see Steve Clarke, as you say, he's under contract for 2 years, do you see him freshening up the squad and bringing through some younger boys now?
Well, he'll have to. I mean, if you can't bring in the Ben Dokes of the world now, after such a disappointment, then there is no point in dangling going to tournaments in front of the Ben Dokes. The Ben Doke might have his own problems getting into the Liverpool team. Arne Slot might know fancy Ben Doak, but we've got to take heart from the fact that the Ben Doak is there, Tommy Conway is there, so we need to try these guys out in the Nations League. And if it means further poor results, one win in 12 games and that against Gibraltar, that could deteriorate further in what is a very tough Nations League group. But we have to experiment and try these guys and see whether they're going to be good enough for us.
Thanks, Kenny. The Euros dream is over, but I think this post-mortem's going to run and run. I am now joined by Kris Boyd, Sunsport columnist, former Scotland striker. Kris, you've had time to reflect on last night's game. What's your take on everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously disappointing the way that we've ended the Euros. I mean, I felt as if last night was an opportunity to go and for the players to make history, but listen, it wasn't to be. It's the same old hard luck story. But I think we need to find a way to get players at the top end of the pitch that can cause teams problems, because that's where somewhere we're severely lacking. And I know it's easy to point the fingers right now and say that you could have played this one, you could have played that one, but the reality is that we need to find a way that create players that can dribble past people, that can commit players and create opportunities for others. I think that we've got midfielders that are very good, keeping the ball and make things happen with it in terms of passes and moving it around in there. But we do need people at that top end of the pitch that can make a difference. And until we find that, I do get the feeling as if we will struggle, or our struggles will continue.
A lot of focus is going to be in the manager, but as you say, is it down to a lack of personnel, a lack of attacking options, and they just aren't there right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the players that we've got. Callum McGregor, very good footballer. Billy Gilmer, Scott McTominay, John McGinn. We have loads of those players in and around there that are good at what they do. But I just, in terms of that, I mean, James Forrest would be the one you would look and say, he could make a difference from that area. I think Ryan Christie is someone who can take people on, but I mean, it's a cheat coming from me. He's not someone who's blessed with blistering pace, and I think nowadays that that's exactly what you need. And we need to find a way. I think coaches, of years gone by, have said we need to find a way of getting wingers as such back in our game. Because you look at the ones right now at the Euros who are getting a lot of plaudits. It is that type of player who are getting on the ball and dribbling past people, creating opportunities for teammates and taking it. But listen, that's for another day. I think if you look right now, the here and now, this group of players have qualified for back-to-back Euros. They deserve enormous credit for that, along with Steve Clarke for the job they've done. But the reality is, once we get there, there is levels in football that we are not quite at that level. And it's a blow. It's hard to take, but that is the reality of it. There is countries out there that are better than us. I think history will tell you that, Scottish squads of the past, the ones that have been successful as well, they had players that it's all blood and thunder as such, if you want to use that term, a phrase. And I think nowadays, with the amount of football that players are playing, it's very difficult to keep going. John McGinn, I mean, there was only two players at Euros who played more minutes than John McGinn this season. And I think it reflected on, John McGinn is someone who, he's full of energy. He'll get about the pitch. He'll cause problems that way. And he wasn't Scotland's worst player, but he did look tired as such. And we're the same as every other country. I mean, I'm not. But you've got to look at our own and say, where could we improve? And that's somewhere that, unfortunately, when you get players playing at a higher level, they play more games. So we speak about the calibre of player we've got in the Premier League, but they end up playing more games as well. And looking at it, there was just a few of the boys just looked tired.
Steve Clarke, still under contract for the World Cup. Do you think he will have a resolve within him? You've played under him to go and try and take Scotland to another major finals. Do you think he's still got that desire in him?
100%. I kind of thought last night that maybe when he took so long to come out, he was maybe addressing the players and speaking to them and telling them that he wasn't going to go forward and everything. And I seen his interviews, I thought, no, this is a man that's still got to fight. This is a man that wants to carry the nation forward, and rightly so. As I said, there's a lot of credit in the bank from the players and the manager in terms of back-to-back Euros. Yes, we've failed to perform once we've got there, but there's been generation after generation failed to get there. I think there needs to be a realisation of where this group has taken the country. You only need to look at the kids that have been abroad and enjoyed themselves, for a couple of weeks there. It's memories that will last a lifetime. What we need to do is, build on that, and hopefully, I think America, Mexico, and Canada would be an unbelievable tournament to be part of. you've got a Nations League, and there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises on the way, because the Nations League, I think when you get promoted into that A pot, there's going to be probably another few games that's going to be tough. But when the draw is made for the qualifying campaign for the World Cup, I think Steve Clarke and this group of players will be ready for it. They've shown that they can qualify, and I don't see why they can't go again. I mean, a lot of people are saying it was negative football and everything, but you can only, I can't use that phrase on here, in terms of what I was going to say, but you can only, the players you've got at your disposal, that's what you've got to do. You can't go and sign players and bring them in and then try to. So I think, there might be a few tweaks going forward, but let's not be kidded that there's other nations that can afford to miss players in certain positions, but the right back area for us, I thought this tournament was a major concern going into it, and it proved to be the case. I don't think Tony Ralston had a bad tournament as such, but just going forward, that little bit of quality in the final third, where you're looking for people to maybe do something, it wasn't quite there. I thought Andy Robertson the exact same. He got into positions where you're expecting more from him, but again, they've played a lot of football, but it's the same for every country. So listen, just got to dust ourselves down, go again. But I think for me, looking at Steve Clarke and this group of players, there is plenty of credit in the bank, and they deserve an opportunity to go forward together.
Chris, thanks for your time.
Well, one other, I just want to, it's been a long 2 weeks and everything, but I think it's about time we pay respect to Bill Leckie, isn't it? Just get his shirt up in there. Leckie must have no buttons left. And I'll be delighted that this is over now for Scotland, because we'll no need to listen to Grieve and Leckie's daily morning rubbish, shall we say. Enjoy.
Thanks, Chris. We are now joined by Robert Grieve, the Scottish Sun's chief football writer from a sunny Stuttgart. Robert, poor result, disappointing exit. I'd imagine it was a subdued night back at the hotel last night.
Yeah, you could say that, David. You say it's sunny, but it feels gloomy. Another hugely disappointing outcome for Scotland. This time yesterday, we were talking the team up. We certainly personally had so much optimism for what was possible for this team, and once again, we're left feeling utterly dejected after another, for me, abject performance that simply wasn't good enough in a game that we had to be so much better.
Where did it all go wrong? What's the root of the problem? I know it's a big question, a big theme, but what happened, Robert?
Steve Clarke spoke at the start of this tournament about negative Normans. Well, for me, the Scotland manager has to look at himself right now and ask why he wasn't more positive in a game we had to win. The system, back three, back five, however you want to look at it, didn't work. Hungary, I think, played us like a fiddle. They sat in, they let us have the ball. The first half hour, you're thinking, right, we're getting off the ball, didn't do enough with it. I thought Hungary sat in and did exactly everything that they do. And for me, there was no plan B. Steve Clarke kept faith with players that had done pretty well against Switzerland, has to be said, but it wasn't working, and he waited far too long to make changes, and when those changes came, it was all so frantic, so haphazard. In the end, I think Scotland pretty much got what they deserved. Post-match, Steve Clarke's talking about a penalty decision, which, yeah, you could argue it was a penalty. Personally, I think it's a 50-50 call. I think if that decision gets given against you, you're raging with it. It wasn't a 100% penalty, as he claimed it was. I don't care what anyone says. But for me, that was just clutching at straws. Whether it was a penalty or not, the Scotland performance wasn't good enough. And I think the Scotland fans, who have been absolutely fantastic over here in Germany for the last couple of weeks, had every right to deserve better.
We speak about it in the last three games, the Euros, but there's a bigger picture, as I said. It's 1-1 in 12, that came against Gibraltar. We are shipping goals in pretty much every game we're playing just now. Do the Tartan Army and Scotland fans out there have a right to be concerned about what's going on right now?
Yeah, but listen, the team, if you think about it, the team did really well throughout the qualification campaign. Let's be honest about it. The team looked vibrant throughout that qualification campaign. We beat Spain at Hampden, but it's unrecognisable. That team is unrecognisable from what we saw last night. Now, key players have been missing. Key squad players have been missing. But guys on that pitch last night starting that game who are seasoned English Premier League football players. Scott McTominay last night, for me, was poor. John McGinn, I don't think had a good tournament, and no one rates John McGinn more highly than me. Andy Robertson was poor. These guys are playing at high level in English football, and yet did they turn up? Did they do themselves justice? I mean, the reason we're disappointed, is so disappointed, is because we believe in these players. We think and we believe that they are better than they have shown. So they didn't do themselves justice. I don't think any doubt about that. And they must be going home this morning. They fly out of Garmisch, Parkhead this afternoon. They must be going home so dejected, because this was meant to be the tournament. They were going to create history. They were going to become legends. We heard it all. We talked them up ourselves. And when it came down to it, they just weren't good enough.
74 days, Scotland start the Nations League campaign against Poland. Do you expect many changes in the squad? Do you think Steve Clarke will start to phase out some of the older guard in there? Or do you think he'll stick with the spot?
I think there'll be a natural evolution of certain players. There's guys who arguably don't have another campaign in them, a qualification campaign in them. I actually wondered about someone like Callum McGregor. Callum's 31 now. He showed signs of wear and tear at Celtic last season. I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong, because I think he genuinely has years left in him. But I wonder if Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers has a conversation with him in the next coming weeks, coming months, and ask him whether he's capable of playing for club and country for another few years. It could be that I could be totally wrong with this. I just wondered about that one. We have younger guys coming through. Billy Gilmore, everyone rates. I think he could have been so much better last night as well, in terms of statement in the game and committing folk. Didn't do it. Aaron Hickey was a younger player coming through, missing last night. Ben Doak, obviously, I think would have made a difference had he been in the squad. So we have younger players coming through, but there will be guys, Kenny McLean's in his 30s now, Grant Hanley, Stuart Armstrong, James Forrest, Ryan Jack. These guys, for me, probably won't play. Well, probably Hanley will, but some of these guys won't play for Scotland again. So there has to be an evolution in the next coming months. But that Nations League campaign, as you spoke about, we're in Group A now. That's the prospect of that right now doesn't sit well with me. I think that could be a torturous campaign. I fear it could be. And it could be there's more pain to come before there's any game.
Football was disappointing, Robert, but I think it's right to ask you on a personal level and with the Tartan Army there, how have you enjoyed the last fortnight?
Yeah, I loved it, to be perfectly honest with you. It's been fantastic. I hope we've brought that to our readers and viewers. It's been a great tournament to cover. The Scotland team are a great bunch of lads. They've been a pleasure to deal with. We stayed in Garmisch, Parkhead. You'd have seen the videos from there. It's a beautiful part of the world. We just desperately wanted to get back there. The plan was to get the train back this morning for another week, 10 days back there, which would have been fantastic. But as I sit here this morning, I'm in Stuttgart, as you can see behind us. The train station is about 5 minutes that way. And I'll be heading home around this time tomorrow. So, no, it's been a great tournament to cover. But if I'm being honest about it, expected so much more, hoped for so much more. And unfortunately, it wasn't to be. I've covered tournaments before in Scotland, haven't been there. And I've always imagined what it would be like to be there in a foreign country watching Scotland. But in all honesty, right now, we're going home with nothing but real disappointment and frustration that it didn't turn out better.
Well, thanks for your time. Safe journey home.
Thanks for watching and listening. Scotland's time at Euros is over, but this is just the start for Go Ballistic. We will be back at the start of the new season. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you soon.